Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mindset Monday this morning. I'm excited to be here with you guys. It's always an inspiring process to sit down and kind of do a deep dive in my brain around what's coming up for me with my clients and what's the message going to be this week? I don't even know week to week. Sometimes I'm just sitting with what is coming up, and I hope that what comes up for me and what's going on kind of in my world over here with not only my business, but with businesses across the country, I'm hoping that that resonates with you weekly. So I see you guys filing in, and I'm grateful that you guys are here today. So today, a lot of notes as usual. Good morning, Sam. I see Ginger, Christine. Good to see you guys. Brenna, good to see you. Flip Flop, good to see you. I'm happy you're here. Today, we're going to be talking about leading through engagement and how to inspire our teams when we're doing a presentation. And when are we doing a presentation? When we think about it, we're doing a presentation when we are delivering a team meeting, when we're delivering an education. And what I have found, and especially working with a lot of owners, is when it comes to delivering a message to our team, there's a lot of anxiety around that. And not only anxiety, but is the end result what it is that we're actually looking for? So we're looking for a specific end result when we are going to be delivering a team meeting or an education, right? So how do we go about planning our, I'm going to call them presentations, our team meetings, our huddles, whatever you want to call them? How do we go about planning those so that we have engagement with our team and motivation, and that whatever the message is, whatever we are looking to accomplish actually happens? So it's one thing to stand up and talk to people about what we want to have happen, what we see needs to have happen. And it's another thing for it to actually happen, when when our meetings are over. So I want to share, a story with you guys as I usually do. And I was thinking back when I first opened my very first salon. And as you know, if you have been following along, I was 27 years old. And that was almost 32 years ago. And do the math. Yeah, okay, I'm 59. But I remember as a 27-year-old new leader, I remember being so excited about having my business. I was so excited to find a team that felt aligned with the things that I believed in and the mission of the company. And it was exciting to see the clients come in and to see the company start to grow. And I, as any new owner, I was operating on endorphins, right? Because I was just like over the moon to have the business opened. And I soon came to realize that leadership and owning a business, it's like the honeymoon always wears off. And then it's like, what are you left with? What love are you left with when the honeymoon wears off, right? So I soon came to realize that leadership was not all like rainbows and, unicorns, that we had to figure out who we were as a leader and how we wanted to lead a team of people in order for there to be movement in our company. And I'll never forget, when I opened my salon, I was an educator. I was a national educator for a product company, and I was a national motivational speaker. And so I would travel around and talk about business strategies at big shows. And I was probably on the road 2 times a month. And So when I opened my salon, I thought to myself, this is just a no-brainer. Like, of course, people are going to be inspired by me, right? So I'll never forget my first couple of years, I'm going to say, of team meetings, which, we have to have. I felt so excited to deliver these team meetings. And what it was met with is people shaking their head and smiling during a meeting. And then after, I'd have somebody crying in the back room. I'd have another person wanting to quit. I'd have another person whose feelings got hurt because I somehow said something to offend them. And it was so frustrating. And I went from being excited to connect with my team to dreading doing these huddles or team meetings, or which now we call salon celebrations. So whatever you call them, um, I went from being excited. I remember this so specifically to just like dreading it because I didn't know what I was doing to create this impact or lack thereof. And I'm not saying that some people weren't excited about it and some people didn't create change after, but you know, I think it's like any of us, you hairdressers out there, or estheticians, or nail techs, or whatever kind of services you do, that you take such pride in what you do. And if one client doesn't like the service that you provide, that's like the only thing you're focusing on. It's kind of the same thing as a leader. You think if a couple of people might not like what was said, that means everybody doesn't. But how do we judge whether we delivered a good presentation, something inspiring, something that's going to create change? How do we gauge that? We gauge that by the behaviors after we deliver that meeting. How does it feel during? How does the engagement feel during that? And then what happens after? Are people making changes? Are people in the back room crying? Right? Like, those are the behaviors that we have to gauge to be able to say, did I do a good job? Because if you ask anybody if you did a good job, I'm sure they're going to tell you yes. But really, the answer is in what happens after. So, so I wanted to talk a little bit about this because it seems like a lot of time that I'm spending with my customers, my clients that I'm doing coaching with, is not only creating the change that they want in their business, but you can want certain change as a leader, and then it's how does it get delivered to accept the change, get on board with the change, and then be excited about it. So those are two different pieces, really. So you have to say, what is it that needs to change, or where are we going as a company? And then how do I get my team on board to go there with me and be excited about it? That took me years to figure out a way to present something that not only inspired people but created lasting change. And we talked about this a little bit in I think one or two Mindset Mondays ago. We talked about creating change in how we work with our team. But I want to keep this going because we always need to be changing and evolving. We're always bringing on new strategies, new guidelines, the latest technology, whatever it is, whatever lane we're going down. We have to be able to create excitement, enthusiasm, and people wanting to change, as opposed to putting the brakes on. And the people that put the brakes on will then help other people put the brakes on. And so we want to try to eliminate that, and how we present it in all aspects in that time you have with your team. How we present that has 100% to do with how people walk away. So it's not the information necessarily, although obviously the information is super important, but it's how we deliver the information. So if you're having a hard time motivating your team, if your team members get upset after a meeting and somehow took things personally, if people are quitting and struggling, if you're struggling with team retention, then it's time to look at this layer, this piece of your leadership, because leadership is made up of so many different skill sets, but they all tie in to the same piece. And that's how we show up. What are the optics that we're creating? How are people seeing and hearing what I'm specifically saying? And that's something that, as a leader, if you are not taking seriously, then you won't be taken seriously. So just let that drop for a minute. If you are not taking seriously the optics that you're creating, what's an optic? An optic is how my team sees me, views me, and hears me, what they're interpreting, what I'm saying. So back in the day when I had people in the back room that I had to console because I somehow hurt feelings or I somehow triggered something, I wasn't sensitive to the different learning styles that people have. And I wasn't really thinking about what were the optics. How are people hearing what I'm saying? And how are they then interpreting it into how they think? So everybody comes with a different set of lenses. They come with a different colored glasses, right? And so they're seeing and hearing you out of their own personal life experience. They're not hearing you out of your intention. Your intentions matter, but they are not going to make a difference on how somebody hears you based on the walk of life or where they come from. So how do we, what I call, speak into the listening? How do I speak into the listening of my team, whether I have 5 people, 10 people, 20 people, or 50 people? That's a tough job. And I remember in the days where my meetings didn't go so well, I would start planning my meetings that the week before the meeting or sometimes the day before, and then I would be kind of revising it on my way to work that day. And I came to realize that if I took this really importantly, if I took this seriously, I need to put more effort into the deliverables. I needed to put more effort into how all the people are going to hear me, how I'm going to be delivering this message or this change. And what I started doing is right after one of my meetings, we call them salon celebrations, I give myself a week break. And then we have them every 6 weeks. So I give myself a week break. And then, so 2 weeks after that meeting or that celebration, I start working on the next one. And I work on it because it's like peeling back an onion, creating a presentation. It's, you have this onion or you have this deliverable that you want to present. And then that's the easy part. The easy part is, what is it that you want to change? What is it that you want to present? The hard part is, how am I going to do it so people are engaged, participating, feel excited about it, leave, and start creating the change on their own that you want to see in the company. So I want to give you some tips and tricks on some of these pieces to help you to create change in your company. Again, this is about creating lasting change, not where somebody feels pumped up because you motivated them for the day. That's exhausting. If you have to keep motivating people for a day instead of having people see why what you're saying is important to them and why what you're saying will make a difference in their lives. Those are two different things, right? So a lot of times when we go to a big show and we're listening to a motivational speaker, we're motivated for that day. But we have to be more than that as leaders. We have to be able to inspire our team, but inspire our team to make lasting change. So how do we do that? So this first part that I want to talk about, there's 3 parts that I want to talk about today. 1 is setting the stage for engagement. 2 is engaging delivery techniques. 3 is leading beyond the presentation. So those are the 3 buckets that I want to talk about today. The first one, setting the stage for engagement, is under that, it's really knowing your audience, like understanding what their needs and interests are prior to you doing any type of a presentation. And good morning for you guys jumping in. It's good to see you. Um, the number one thing that I did that created change to change the way our meetings go or our celebrations go is I started with the end in mind. I started with the very end. And so that's one of the things, if you're writing something down, that I want you to put down is I start with the end in mind. And the end is, what do I want to have happen in this meeting when people leave? That's what I start with. I don't start with this big idea, like maybe the big idea is client recruitment. Maybe we need more butts in chairs, right? So maybe we need to recruit clients. So I'll start with that as kind of the theme is recruitment. But what do we want to have happen on the end, on the backside? Do we want people to be handing out cards? How many cards do we want them to hand out? Will there be like some type of a contest around? So how many cards do we want to have come back in? Right? If we want to increase our retail sales, let's just say, and when we know that our retail sales, that retail per client ticket is really a gauge of how well we're educating our clients. So it's not about the retail, it's about how our clients are leaving feeling they want to do their hair at home. So if that's the overarching theme, then what is the end result that I want to have happen? So we always start with the end result, and then we work to the beginning. So we have to then craft a clear and compelling message, focus on why. And usually this starting point of our meeting is creating some kind of exercise that brings people together around why it's important for them and why it would be important for them to have a higher, say, retail per client ticket, because that gauge indicates how well we're taking care of our clients. So we can do some exercise around that. And so setting the stage for engagement would be, what is that opening exercise going to be? Which you can imagine if you're planning your meetings the day before your meeting, I don't know how you're going to be able to come up with, like, it's so layered putting a presentation together. So you might come up with something today and relook at it tomorrow and adjust it or throw it away and start with something new. And so, I mean, I do that with even coming here and talking to you guys. I'll come up with an idea and then I'll read it and then I'll change it up, because each day new and inspiring ideas come to me. So one thing that I want to really set out here in this first bucket is start with the end in mind and give yourself time to create and recreate. The more time you put into this, right? It's the investment that you're putting in is what you're going to get out of it. So you have to be thinking clearly. All right. The next piece is engaging delivery. So we want to create storytelling and help people understand why their why is important to them and why they would want to change. Not why I want them to change, but why it's important for them to create change. And as a leader, isn't that what we want anyway? Our job is to inspire people to see beyond where they are today, to see what could be better for them tomorrow. That's our job as leaders. It's not that I'm going to just deliver this inspiring message. It's to help people see what they can't see, but they can clearly go. And so we have to be able to tell stories and have our team really start thinking like, wow, what's in this for me? Wow, I could really see that I could benefit from this if I did this. You know who's so great at doing this? I don't know if you guys follow Mel Robbins. She is just an amazing speaker. She has a podcast. She's on social, delivering little 30-second deliverables, messages, inspiring pieces. And she sends out a newsletter, and she does the same thing in her podcasts where she talks about how something personally relates to her and where she was prior. And after hearing or doing some certain thing, what's changed for her. And she's a great storyteller. And I get so many newsletters and emails and crap in the morning that I'm usually just deleting everything. And then I get to hers and I always read that story because it's interesting to me because it connects me with her humanness, her humanity, where I could say, wow, I could see that for me. So, how do we create and become great storytellers instead of telling somebody to do something, is actually sharing where I was and how this certain thing has helped me to change in a certain way. So, incorporating that kind of storytelling and visual aids. So, if you're just standing up in the front of your meeting and talking about what needs to be done, okay, is it bad? It's not bad, but are people going to be inspired to create change on the backside? Probably not. So when we're creating exercises for our team, when we're telling stories, when we're having people tell stories and being a participant, that's when people can start seeing the impact around, if I did this, I can really see that it could be beneficial for me. And only until somebody sees that and feels that are they inspired to make a change. Think about yourself. You're not going to make a change because someone told you to change. You're going to make a change because you need something to change and you can see something better for yourself when you change than what you have right now. And so our team are no different. They want to see and feel what could be different for them if they make this change. And that was a huge aha moment for me. So when we're developing and planning for a meeting, wouldn't part of it then be, how can we get across with our team figuring out or seeing the why? Why is this important to me? If I did this, I could see like things being really different. So that's a part of engagement. That's a part of creating lasting change, is saying, I see why this is important and I'm interested. I'm curious. I'm listening with a different mindset. And, I've said this before and I'll keep giving props to my friend Wynn Claybaugh, who, when I was that 27-year-old leader, when I was that person thinking that all of the things I did should be inspiring by telling people how great things are going to be, he kept saying to me, people support what they help to create. So people support what they help to create. So in the creation of these meetings that we're having, where can people participate and bring their ideas in to make it even better? That doesn't mean you leave the whole door open. So like Pandora's box is open and then all of a sudden you're off on a totally different topic. No, you have to create a sense of order and there has to be guidelines, but inside the guidelines, the parameters, like the scaffolding of whatever you're launching, where can people participate and contribute so that they're taking it on and making it their own. Does that make sense? So preparation, starting with the end in mind, being a great storyteller with visual aids, super important. Where in that can people participate? So people have to be able to participate and put their 2 cents in so that it becomes a collaboration. This isn't a dictatorship, right? And which, not that I ever thought it was, but I just thought, well, if I got up and inspired people, they would be inspired to change and then that would be it. No. And then the last piece here, right? So we have like setting the stage, engaging delivery techniques. So those are some delivery techniques. And then the third thing is leading beyond the presentation. So the presentation is not over when you're done presenting, when the meeting's over, because there's takeaways. There should be a contest. There should be a tracking. There should be something that people are super inspired to leave and do on their own. And how do we track that? When we track something, we're able to gauge whether the behaviors that we want changed or whatever we're bringing in to change in our business is actually exciting for people and they could see that on their own. So what is that going to look like? What can they look forward to if these changes are made? So one thing that I have come up against that's been a huge learning curve for me is the follow-up. If I'm not following up, things are not happening. So if you create this great celebration for your team and then you go one way, your team goes another way, never to be spoken of again, you can count on it falling through the cracks because new behaviors take follow-up. They take constant enthusiasm. They take always connecting our team to the why we chose to change in the first place. So if we don't have somebody keeping that going, if we're not keeping that going, a habit takes, months to change. People say 21 days, but I've never changed a habit in 21 days. It's something that has to be front and center for me. Maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months, when I'm in the rhythm of doing something, it becomes the way I do it. Maybe. So you can't expect your team to walk away and just start doing this new thing without follow-up pieces in place. So follow-up is super important. So our takeaways, I'm hoping, and I'd love for you guys to, how I always like a little feedback. So your feedback here gives me feedback on if what I'm saying is resonating with you at all. So I'm going to have you throw some comments in here while I round up our 30-minute, our half hour. So throw me some comments. Let me know if any of this is resonating with you. And also, if you have an idea for another Mindset Monday for me, pop it in the comments because I'm here for you. I'm always creating content. So I want to create things that you're having issues with that maybe I could help you with a solution. I don't know that I'll always help you. And I have to say that, knowing what I know about presenting and creating change, sometimes it's still a disaster. Yeah. And usually when I don't see the changes happening on the other side, I have to go back and ask myself, I'm not pissed at my team. I go back and ask myself, did I do these specific things? Did I incorporate these certain things in order to create the change or get people excited? And usually I can trail it back or track it back to something that I didn't do in my little formula of creating meetings. And I dropped the ball in one of the areas. And then I say to myself, okay, you know what? Make sure you prepare a little bit more the next time. I see a lot of you guys popping in over here on my Facebook saying that follow-up is important. That's where I fall short. A few people are talking about that. And Ginger, I see that you like that the consistency, and it's the small pieces. We can't expect to deliver something and then people will be excited for that day or that week. And then it's going to be as if it never happened. So the follow-up is keeping the party going, right? It's keeping the fire burning. And so I want you to be excited to deliver to your team. Even though sometimes is it a flop? Once in a while it is, but we have more successes than we do flops. I will tell you that. And I'm excited to be with my team now. I'm excited to hear their participation and how they want to help to create the change. And that really matters to me as a leader. So our 3 takeaways: leadership during presentations is about creating an engaging experience for your team, not just delivering information. 2, by incorporating storytelling, visuals, and interactive elements, you can capture your audience attention and foster active participation. And then the 3rd thing is your passion, openness, and feedback and follow through are critical for leading your team beyond the presentation. So Brenna, how do you inspire the different learning styles, future mindsets? I think that that's a great and valid question. And I want you guys to go to a website called aboutlearning.com. Write it down. The website is called aboutlearning.com. And on that website, you can get Assessment, self-assessments for your team. You can also get a presenter's guide. So it teaches you how to present these self-assessments, and you can learn about, and you guys can DM me if you have questions about it. But this was a game changer for me, and it helped me to learn about the different learning styles. And when you can get a grip on those different learning styles, then you can actually create your meetings around the different learning styles. And they talk about 4 different learning styles, 4 quadrants, and you can actually create a meeting around the quadrants. And it's brilliant. Most of the time it works if you work it. If you skip a quadrant, it backfires. But if it's backfiring now, then what do you have to lose? So DM me if you want information on that. And I do hope that today gave you some information that is helpful to you. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. And throw me a comment if you like it, share it, tag a friend, spread the wealth, people. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you on the flip side.